today I'm gonna show you guys how to make arroz con leche. So I'm starting off with 1.5 cups of rice. I already washed it, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the bowl, and then I'm gonna get about a cup of regular water. I'm gonna get about a cup and a half, see where it takes me. Okay, a cup and a half should be enough. I'm gonna turn on the stove to a medium low, and I went ahead and put a cinnamon stick. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it up to a medium high just so it boils. You don't want to put a lot of water. All you want to do is just cook the rice. So I'm gonna let it sit. So what you want to do is you want to wait for it to boil. It's gonna take about 10 minutes, and then once it boils is when we're gonna add everything else. So it's getting to a boil. I'm gonna go ahead and cover it just for a little bit, just to speed up the process. And I'm gonna lower it to high-low, because you want the rice to semi-cook, but you don't want it to overcook and get mushy. So lower it down to a low-high, and then wait for about 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, it should be already cooked. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. So what you're gonna do now is, as you can see, you're gonna have to lower it. You don't want it to stick. So you're gonna go ahead and lower it all the way to low. But if you see, the rice absorbed almost all the water right now, it should be between soft and low. So now what you're gonna do is, I mean 2 cups of milk, I'm sorry, to see if, I'm gonna leave about a half, and I'm just gonna mix it to make sure that I'm gonna need all of it. So yes, I don't like my arroz con leche too watery, so this is why I'm only gonna add 2 cups of milk. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix it around, and you kind of want to unstick if you got any rice on the bottom. This is why you always have to stir it when you're cooking the rice with the water. So to this, I'm gonna unstick it. To this, I'm gonna go ahead and add some vanilla. I'm gonna add just a little splash. I would say that's like a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm gonna go ahead and mix it. I'm just trying to make sure that there's nothing at the bottom. And before you add the milk, if you want to check on the rice, you can easily just grab a little a little pinch of it, and taste it. The rice should be between soft and still uncooked, not hard like how it is when it's still dry. It needs to be semi-pliable with your teeth. It shouldn't be too gummy, and it shouldn't be too hard. So then once you have that, you are going to set it to the side. You're gonna turn it on, and you're gonna put it to a low-high, and you're gonna let the milk come to a boil. Do not burn the milk. So you need to keep an eye out keep an eye on it so it doesn't burn, because then the milk is gonna get a really nasty taste. So watch it, put on a high low, and then just watch it boil. Once you see that bubbles start creating and it's about to boil, that's when you open it and start stirring it, because that means the bottom has already boiled. Okay, so it's starting to bubble already. You can see the first bubbles. So I'm gonna move it around because it's gonna start boiling already. So now, since it's started boiling, what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn it to a medium high, so it starts cooking out some of the milk. I don't really like my my arroz con leche too watery, and I don't like my rice to be too mushy. I still like to see pieces of rice, you know, well cooked but still intact. So I put it up on a medium high just so I can boil out the milk. So while that is slowly, you have to stir it, guys, at all times. I mean, if you're gonna go and get your ingredients, just stir it really good and then go and get them, because you don't want the bottom to burn. So if you can see, the milk is almost gone. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my evaporated milk, or clavel, and your lechera. I just bought this lechera. It's good because it's squeezable. And as you can see how it's starting to completely boil now. It's trying to boil out the water, I mean the milk, I'm sorry. So then what you're gonna do is once it is starting to get to a boil, we are going to just lower it on medium low for a little bit while we add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I'm gonna add the condensed milk. I'm only gonna add half of it because, like I said, I don't like my arroz con leche too watery. So then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and mix it since it's still cooking out. I'm only gonna add half, but if you guys like it watery, you guys can add the whole can. So I only added half. Now I'm gonna take my lechera, open it up. It's squeezable, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the top off and pour it like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour the lechera now. I'm not gonna put too much. This is just to sweeten it out and thicken it out, and I'm just gonna go as I go. Okay, I'm gonna stir it and then see if it needs a little bit more. Okay, so right now, since I already stirred everything, I only put about, actually I put like half of the bottle of the lechera bottle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it back to a medium, and I'm gonna stir it out. So once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit of cinnamon, just a tad bit, just to mix it up real quick, just to give it a little flavor, just a little bit. At the end you can add more, but I want to see how thick it's gonna be, to see if I have to add. And if you guys want to check on your rice, you can always just carefully, because it's hot, put it on your spoon and pinch a little bit of rice and put it in your mouth, and it will continue to cook once you turn it off of the stove. Obviously you have to let it sit before you eat it. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and stir it up one more time. And you can hear that it's boiling. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of rice just so I can check it to make sure it still needs a little bit more time. I want my rice to be tender, but I don't want it to be mushy. I like to taste my rice. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it here for a little bit. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make sure it's on a medium low. And I'm just gonna cover it up for a little bit and let the rice cook a little bit. So if you want your rice, if your rice is too hard right now and it's not soft enough, then put it on a medium low or a low and just let it cook, firm up. That way it doesn't get mushy. So just put it on a low if you want, if your rice is not cooked yet, and then just leave it on there and let it cook. Remember, go back and forth every 2 minutes just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom. Like right now, as I'm talking to you guys, it's boiling, so I'm gonna open it back up right now. You guys can see. And I'm gonna stir it because I don't want I don't want it to burn on the bottom, because one, it will give it a really not burnt flavor and you'll have to throw it all out. But I also want my rice to fully cook. So then once I stir it around, I'm gonna cover it back up and I'm gonna give it another taste. It's actually almost there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cover it up and let it cook. Now I'm gonna add a teaspoon of sugar, just a little bit. It's almost done, guys, to the consistency. I don't know if this is a teaspoon, it's probably less, but I'm just gonna sprinkle it just a little bit. And then I'm just gonna stir it. I put it down to a low now. So make sure you guys put it to a low once you see that it's cooking out. And it's almost there. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and taste it to make sure that it's cooked properly and that it's sweet enough. So right now I'm gonna add just a little bit of lechera, a little bit more, just a little bit. And since I'm still gonna cook it out for a little bit longer, once it's off, I'm gonna add just a little bit more of condensed milk. So I would say that you're using about 3/4 of the can. Since I'm gonna shut it off, I need the rice to absorb the milk. So what I'm gonna do now is, once it's mixed, and here it is, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more cinnamon, just a little bit more since it's almost done. Desired amount that I want now because it's almost cooked. It's cooked completely. So what I'm gonna do is, it seems like a lot, but it's not. I like a lot of cinnamon in mine. So it is almost done. So it is, so this is almost done, guys. As you guys can see, I mixed it up, and here is the secret ingredient. What you're gonna do is you're gonna add a little bit of salt. Salt brings out flavor. So what you want is, you want that cinnamon taste, you want that lechera taste, and you want that condensed milk taste. So what I'm gonna do is, if you have a shaker, just do 2 shakes. And if you don't have a shaker, just do a pinch of salt, a small pinch. And since I'm gonna go ahead and taste it again, just to see what it tastes like and make sure that it's cooked. So now I'm gonna use the whole can, just because I want it to be completely cooked. So now I'm just gonna mix it. And it's still on low, guys, okay? I haven't put it up, I haven't done absolutely nothing. So what I'm gonna do is, I am going to put it on a high-low. And after I put it on a high-low, I'm gonna go ahead and let it just come to a slight boil, and then I'm gonna shut it off. And you guys are gonna let it sit for at least, 10 minutes, just so it's completely cooked. It's starting to come together. So now I'm gonna shut it up, I'm gonna close it, and it's on a high-low. And as soon as you see that the bubble, you see 2 bubbles, it's already boiling. I didn't even have to cover it. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna mix it, because I'm gonna let the air in. That means that the milk is already evaporating. So now what you have to do is turn it off, cover it up, turn it off, and then you let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. The thickness that you like, that's how long it needs to sit covered up. Do not open it, do not touch it, just let it sit. That way the rice can absorb the milk and the rice can cook properly. And I'm gonna let it sit for 10 minutes, and then we'll see the end product. Okay guys, so I'm gonna cover it. It's done. I'm gonna show you guys that it is the consistency that I love. I love when it's thick like this. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put it in a container, because what I want is, I want to put them in the fridge. Sorry, my container is huge, but they didn't have smaller ones. I mean, they did, but I mean, let's face it, I don't want a small one. So then once that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of cinnamon, and I'm gonna pour it on the top. And you could put raisins. A lot of people put raisins. I don't really like raisins. And there you go, you guys. Arroz con leche, made very easy. Obviously, you need to put this aside and let it cool, guys, because it needs to firm up more. But this is what I usually do with them. And what you can do is set them aside, let them cool down. Do not put them in the fridge while they are hot. It will go bad. So just let it sit, let them cool. Once they're done, cover them up and place them in your fridge. And there you go, guys. If you guys want to see other recipes like these, go ahead and leave me a comment or follow me on IG. I will place it at the bottom. And thank you for watching and enjoy. Bye, guys.